Hello, this is Amarjot Singh. I'm a ICCRC consultant based in Edmonton, Canada. And I got a call from somebody in America today about NAFTA. What is NAFTA visa and how does it benefit people from US and Mexico? As you know, NAFTA is something which is also in newspapers nowadays, actually, because of impending changes coming from possibly from the US president on they're going to scrap or change some provisions of NAFTA. Uh, it may result in a total scrapping of NAFTA or maybe some amendments to take away some benefits which we take it for granted. And there are special provisions for different categories for people from Canada, America, and Mexico, which are three countries participating in NAFTA. I'm going to today talk only about and there are different provisions for visitors, for intra-company transfers, and professionals and investors. I'm going to talk today just on professionals alone. How does a professional from any of these countries benefit by working in a partner country? For example, somebody from the US wants to come to work in Canada, some people from Canada want to go and work in US, as long as they are a citizen. NAFTA allows that benefit. So let's take a look at what kind of professionals. Number one, what the requirements are. So the first requirement is they must be, let's just to simplify, let's take an example of a US citizen looking to come to Canada. So they must be a US citizen. Of course, they must have a US naturalization certificate or a US passport. They must be in one of those professions. I will tell you what these professions are. There's a select list of professions. It's called Appendix 1603. If you are in these professions, only then you can apply for a job and apply for the NAFTA visa. You must have the qualification to work in that profession, which I will show you. For example, if you're an engineer, you must have a degree in engineering to call yourself an engineer. Just because somebody who has had maybe for example, a generic qualification, but a lot of experience as engineering cannot be qualified as an engineer to get the benefit of the NAFTA. So that's another, you must have the proper prerequisite qualification to qualify in that occupation. You must have a employer in Canada. Of course, you must have a pre-arranged employment with a Canadian employer. A Canadian employer will give you a job offer. You take the job contract. You go to the port of entry, airport, or the border, and then you can apply for it. You have to deliver those services as mentioned in those qualifications and those job description in that appendix. So, for example, if you're an engineer, you must be going there to provide services as an engineer, not like maybe a sales or something else. So that's the basic requirements to apply for NAFTA visa. You can apply. As I said, you can apply at the port of entry anywhere, or you can apply also at the Canadian Embassy in America as well. So the documents, what you need is you need a proof of American citizenship. You need confirmation of whether you have a job offer, a signed contract with the Canadian employer. You also need to have some documentation about the employer. Who the employer is. Maybe their website or brochure, or maybe some kind of tax return or some kind of incorporation certificate to show that they are a proper employer in Canada. You need an employment contract as well, which will enlist your title, your duties, your employment. How long will you do the employment, how much salary and stuff, however the salary be paid, and those kind of things. What are the education requirements or the credentials required to do those jobs? That's one of the most important requirements for the NAFTA visa. Also, you must produce your education qualification or evidence that you have the minimum education requirement required, to do this job. Like, for example, copies of your degrees, your diplomas, your licensing or accreditation, or anything that you have. So that is what needs to be done. Let's take a look at what professions. First of all, the initial work permit. This will result in a work permit. It's called NAFTA visa, TD visa. You can be given that visa for up to 3 years, and then of course you can renew it once you are, you continue to be eligible for it. So there's a list of is listed on the CIC website as well. I'm sure if you type on Google Appendix 1603D.1, you will see the list of all the occupations. So there are quite a number of them: accountant, architect, computer system analyst, and stuff. Insurance, claims adjuster, economist, engineer. So let's just stop on the word engineer. Engineer is somebody who has a baccalaureate or licentiate degree or a state provincial license to perform engineering services. So somebody who does not have a proper degree or proper licensure from the state or province to perform engineering service will not qualify. So that's an example. Let's take some other example to show you. So for example, let's say a lawyer is coming from America to practice law here in Canada, so they must have the LLB or the JD degree there. At least it's for 5 years. So JD degree, I'm sorry, LLB, regular LLB, like from Canada going to America, so LLB degree, JD from there, or a BCL, or any kind of licensure degree at least for 5 years, or membership in a state provincial bar. Maybe they are member of the bar, so that will help as well. So that way, you will qualify. One of the most popular categories in NAFTA is a management consultant. A management consultant is somebody who's working for a client to improve their services or performance of their organization. So they must have proof that they have been a management consultant, also not only dedicated to one client but several clients. So the job description is very vital, especially the management consultant, because that will tell the visa officer whether they are real management consultant or trying to kind of sneak into a category which doesn't belong to them. So typically a management consultant is an independent contractor or employee of a consulting firm. So that's how it is. So maybe they are, like example of Ernst & Young or Price Waterhouse, something, and they are under contract to a Canadian client. So that will suffice. So that way there are a lot of occupations, and you can go to those occupations and check whether you are one of them. So it works both ways: American going to Canada, Canada going to America, and also for Mexico as well. Even though the way of application is slightly different, but they're still eligible for the category of the visa. Even medical professionals like dentists, dietitians, medical lab technologists, nutritionists, pharmacists, even those are eligible. Veterinarians, scientists, quite a number of them actually. If you just go to Google, you will be able to see them. So it works for those things. There are many people who have joined here: Anirudh Salvi, Hani, Kalia, Inder Chawla, Shoaib Sajad, Atif Shehzad, Takoti Singurel, Happy Singh. I was seeing that a lot of people join. It's just Hazel Benson, John. Hazel, how are you? Long time. I've never seen you. Long time. I hope you're doing good. So that is what I had to say. A little things about the NAFTA visa. If you have any question, my contact information. You can send me a direct message from the Facebook, or just send me an email, async29@gmail.com. All right. Thank you.